All right, we're gonna get started. Can you let me know if you can't hear me? Well, you won't know, but if you can hear me, let me know. Okay, I'm gonna assume you do. Art or Enrique, can you tell me if you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Enrique. Thank you for attending.
Of course.
All right, so I decided to do this one today because even though showings are typically in person, more and more I'm seeing clients that want video showings. Either they're coming from out of state or they are just super busy. I have someone that's in San Diego that is looking for a vacation home and he's going to be in town, but he prefer to see the options. So I want to make sure that we all are stepping into video showings, smartly and making sure that we have the fundamentals down. Now, there is different types of video showings, so we're going to go into both. But this goes back to showings being a very specific way and hitting the 4 Ps, which is preparation, presence, process, and profit. And this is actually a really nice way to give the idea of a showing too. So if you're not sure what the client wants, you can always go and videotape the neighborhood, the outside of the home, and so that tells someone a lot. I've been on showings where I take a client and they're like, okay, this is not the neighborhood I want to live in, or this just doesn't feel right. So sometimes you doing like a drive-by, doing the showing from the outside, looking at the neighborhood can save you a lot of time before you get the client out there. So the video touring pipeline. So you need to capture the property, you have the conversation. I know you're doing a video, but if it's a live video, you need to be able to converse with your client. And even if it's not a live video, you want to be explaining things the correct way. So you lead to that confidence that builds the trust and clarity. And then after that, hopefully you can schedule a showing if they do like it. So you want to be able to schedule that in-person showing. And, there are some that will make an offer before they even see it in person, but that's going to be few and far between. But we want to make sure that we're leading off and making sure that if at all possible, we're doing that in-person showing, and then let's get that offer. So today we're going to cover video touring and why it has become essential, why it matters reaching modern buyers, how to conduct polished professional video tours, how to move buyers forward after the tour ends, and then execute. Some scripts, checklists, and some action steps. Okay, so what is a video tour? It's a critical role in the modern home buying process. We are all online. We all can also see video tours if you go on to Zillow or something like that, but they're showing something from a very different perspective that you're showing. They're going to show all, the amazing things like here's the home and here's the kitchen and here's how it leads into the living room. They're not showing any of the good, bad, and ugly if you need it. So keep in mind that you could say to a client, yes, absolutely, there's videos online, but it's not the type of video that you're going to take. You're the one that knows the client. But with us all going from a technology edge, this is going to happen more and more. And there's a lot of people moving to Vegas. The homes are more inexpensive. Obviously, California is very expensive, but still close. I'm seeing people from Arizona and even across the country moving here. And it might not be a permanent move. It could be temporary, but also it could be vacation. People love coming to Vegas. And especially for people that are close by, when you're talking about a 4 or 5 hour drive, that could be their spot. Vegas could be the place that they love to unwind. So what is a video tour? A video tour is a guided, narrated walkthrough of a property. Now, I've seen video tours where the video goes through and then you put music to it or something else. That's great when you're just doing content and you want to put it up. And you can always take a video tour where you're doing narration and then add music later and take out the narration. so that you can actually post it on Facebook and other things. So it's not your narration to your client. But I think it's important to consider that you are the one that should be narrating the walkthrough. Even if they never see your face, you should be actually flowing. And that is actually what can get you the offer. If you just say, hey, here's the kitchen. Instead, you could say, look how it flows from the living area to the kitchen. This is an open concept. Because when you just show a video, it could be not as clear when they're in person. But this is a way for you to give a personal experience with the photos and the video. So also what I like to do is on top of the video, I'll take pictures of key elements, like the air conditioning, like the hot water heater, the thermostat, those type of things that they may feel is very important because those are expensive things to fix. So if the air conditioner was old, that may be different than something brand new. Or they may want a tankless water heater and not a tank. So these are all kinds of things you need to think about, and you don't have to video it. You could just take separate pictures and add it to the experience later. So video tours allows buyers to evaluate the homes remotely. And again, this might be a local person. Sometimes you hate to get in front of a client, hate to get to that home. And trust me, this has happened to me. And they are shocked that you considered this something that they would live in. So it actually can get pretty confident if you find something that they like on video, and then you walk in when you're doing it in person and you have even more confidence. So it's never going to hurt if someone says they're busy and you say, you know what, I can do a video tour. I know you're busy. I know you're 8 to 5. And it's hard for you to get time off. So let me do a video tour and see if I can get something that's really going to resonate with you. But understand that you can't just walk into a home and be like, I don't know it at all. I'm just going to pan through the entire house and not understand it. You need to understand the true layout and the flow of the space. You want them to understand that the full picture of the home, not you just showing up the house, you unlock it, and now here's the front door, and this is, one room at a time. So think of it as you actually guiding the video and the buyer through the process. You want to see the property before committing to a trip. Now you can see it online, but remember, this is your time too. So if they don't like it in the pictures, they're not going to like it in video either. So make sure you're having that conversation. But this does allow them to narrow their choices quickly and efficiently. So the common reason for videos is out of state, international, busy professionals with limited schedules, and early stage property evaluation. So it allows you to shortlist a lot of things. Now, if you've ever been to a showing, it can take a lot of time to go through houses. So let's just say, usually when I do a showing in person, I'm doing 4 or 5 houses back to back. And that's going to take probably half an hour per house and then 15 to 20 minutes between houses. So think how much time you could save without having to, one, have all those conversations with clients, and 2, narrow it down to the top 2. Instead of having to spend 8 hours doing showings, you could limit it down to 2 or 3 hours with the actual buyers. During a video tour, you're not just filming a walkthrough. I know I've already said this once, but we're going to reiterate best practices here. You're the buyer's most valuable resource. We are the agents. We're not just a person that walks them through something. We need to come into that with value. You're the window into the property. They cannot physically visit at that time, but we're doing them a favor so we can get them the home they want. So when you narrate, every word you say, every detail, you're shaping their understanding. You're capturing what the buyer would see in person. You are not avoiding things just because you want them to love the home. If the kitchen's small, you don't have to say the kitchen's small. You can video it and just say, okay, well, this is the space. And it might be a little tight. I'm not sure how you feel about this space, but I'm going to give you a really slow narration, a very slow process, so you can see the actual space where the stove is, where the countertops are. And some will even ask you if you're doing a live tour to open cabinets to make sure they feel like they can allow you and them to actually almost physically touch as much as they need. So you're also the observer, noticing details beyond what the camera shows. So I love noticing like high ceilings. This is amazing. Look how open this feels like. Look, every room has new fans. These have these beautiful beams. So there's nothing wrong with being the guide, the eyes, and really showing them from an observer how you're feeling about the house. It's very hard to video and see how high the ceilings are or how the banister goes up a certain way. So you want to make sure that narration is really an understanding of the property. Treat it with responsibility and intention. Be prepared like any other showing. So there are types of video tours. There's recorded, which I typically do. Most people that are from out of state, or especially people that are busy, that just want their recorded video tours. So a full walkthrough, recorded, sent to the buyer for review. These are ideal for clients who want to watch in their own time, share with family and partners before deciding. So this allows them to go back to pause, focus, enlarge. So they actually have it right there in front of them. Live video tours, so people will do this over FaceTime or Zoom. And they'll guide you, like, I want to see this a little bit more. They also can invite other people. They can invite extended family or people that might have an idea of what type of home that they want. So expect that maybe there might be more than just one person on that live tour. There could be spouses, there could be, extended family. It could be almost anything, even children. So you just need to make sure that you can have the questions answered. And this is your opportunity to see their reactions too. It's a much more interactive touring experience. Because when you see someone in public, you can see their body language and that type of thing. With recorded video tours, obviously you can't see their reactions. But with live video tours, you can kind of see and play into those reactions. Now, there's also quick walkthrough clips, like they only want to see the kitchen. That's like the most important thing to them. Or they only want to see the outside. It's the backyard. They plan on putting up, a new garage, or they want a huge backyard so they can put in a pool. So they may know the home. And then later they're like, can you just go and do a quick walkthrough of these type of areas? Because we've seen it, we think that, we really like it, but we want to show someone just a couple clips. So each type serves a different stage of the buying process. And I want you to be able to master all three and actually move between them, depending on who you're talking to and their type of, their time frame, how they're operating, who they are as people. Make sure you give them options. They don't have to just come and be in person and go through, 4 or 5 homes that they're not sure they're even going to like. So have this in your back pocket. This is a piece of your arsenal to really show your versatility as an agent. So why? Video touring is one of the most powerful skills that we can develop. Now, let's just talk quickly about separately from clients. If you're working on a listing, I would encourage you to do as many video tours as you can. Put them up on your social media. It separates us from the top performers. Now, if you're using Zillow Showcase, which of course I always encourage, they have great skills. They put in 3D walkthroughs and all of that. But you have the chance not only to attract people to your social media by showing a home, but attract buyers that maybe would never see the home. And also it builds content for you. It shows that you are a seriously focused agent that is coming to this century with all these skills. You also can put it on the Alessi Facebook page, the internal and external. Other agents may have clients that says, okay, that's the perfect home. So there's so many ways that you can develop these type of touring, these type of skills to be really powerful in this market. So we kind of went over how this serves the out-of-state buyers. And it said, we save buyers time, but I also want to encourage you to save yourself time. On average, a buyer will take about 30 hours of your time. So 30 hours of showing homes, talking about them, talking about different areas. If you have sent them a video on top of showing them something in person, they may not need to go see a property more than once. That saves you time. But it also allows you to, at the end of the day, understand that buyers take longer. And if you can give them a few more ways to see a property, you can save your buyers time too. You also move a lot faster. We're in a very competitive market. There's a lot of real estate agents out there. But I tell you right now, I still get mailers from agents. I mean, sometimes full books. And that's how they get clients. But I'm telling you right now that turn rate is about 1 to 2%. These type of videos and this type of content turns it about 10 to 20% faster than those mailers. So we have to stay competitive in this type of market that's out there. You can provide insight before an in-person tour. We can set expectations, we can build excitement. They could be ready. Like you show them 5 video tours and they're like, okay, that is my top pick. Let's go to that one. And then you could start working on an offer before having to see another 30 houses. So if you master this, you often win clients. And if you keep it on your social media, it could actually down the road lead to referrals. It could lead to someone just happy to see it. And then they're like, oh, wow, this person actually took the time and created this very beautiful video. So it gives us that competitive advantage.
True.
Yeah.
So because like the video tours, they're gonna be long videos, like longer content. So is that recommended to do, like put it on like YouTube and like Facebook?
So
Is there longer?
when I do a video tour, at the most, I would say it's about 6 minutes when you put it all together. So that's kind of long for like a short on YouTube. So I would put it as a regular video on YouTube. And with Facebook, you may want to cut it down a little bit more. Now there are apps, and I can talk to you guys about that you actually can cut it up and make it look very beautiful. Yeah. So CapCut is a great other one that doesn't charge you too much, and there are also some free ones out there. But I like to do like almost 3 different ones, like a quick snapshot with like fast pictures. And then I do one about 3 minutes because people will sit through 3 minutes, and then maybe do a 6 to 9 minute one for my client.
Okay.
That way you have different choices for your social media. You don't want it to be too big or too long. People won't fit through.
It's like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be like nice and pretty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would use an app on your cell phone and kind of cut it up into different lengths if you want to use that house on your social media. Now, if you're videoing a fixer-upper or something that an investor might want, I don't think you probably want to put that on your social media. It can actually, probably be a detriment to you a little bit. Investors love that. I mean, investors do love video tours of broken down properties and stuff like that. But when it comes to really getting people to want to reach out to you, I would say that for those really beautiful homes or the ones that have ideal situations.
Yeah.
Like I love videoing the ones that'll have like a half an acre, because then it's like, oh my God, look how much space.
Yeah.
Focus on the space and not so much the house
Yeah.
or the flow of the house. Like, okay, here's all the space and look how it flows, but not capture like everything.
Yeah.
If you're gonna put it on social media,
Mhm.
you know, it could be a detriment.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they only sell, you know, $200,000.
Yeah, that's another thing, because it's like you want to be attractive to everyone,
Exactly.
you know, so it's like you have to figure out a balance of like posting like the 300,000 or like, you know, the lower homes and the high ones at the
Right.
same time.
You do. You want to be attractive to everybody, but there are beautiful homes in the 200,000 or the $300,000 range. But if it is a cluttered home or something that's gonna feel like almost suffocating for some people, um, it's just gonna turn them off. But if there is a little bit like a beautiful condo or something that where people have kind of pared down their things, which I always encourage, I would definitely shoot that. Like I shot a condo in Summerlin that was 200,000 in Summerlin.
That's cheap.
And they did have that beautiful furniture, you know, they have limited some, you know, they didn't have an overabundance of personal items. So I didn't have to virtually stage it. Like I was able to show like, and it actually got sold like really fast.
Okay.
But even a condo can feel very much like home.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have to be a huge home. I would just probably avoid the ones that are like boarded up windows, or in some of the small homes I've seen, they have such an overabundance of things. You know, like these huge cabinets and stuff like that that are 900 square feet.
Yeah.
And it gets overwhelming to people look. You know, it may be really great for your grandma seeing it and then going, okay, that's the house I love to live in.
Yeah.
But it's not the mass market.
Yeah.
Again, I totally encourage you to highlight the beautiful parts of the home with different price ranges. Some people love ranch styles. So if they go, I just only want a ranch, then I'll absolutely put something like that on social media. I would just try to keep it short, sweet, and cut to the point where like we're showing the best aspects of it. But yeah, I mean, I do like making sure you market to the masses.
Yeah.
Because if you only show $1 million homes, they're gonna think that's all you do.
Yeah.
So I think there's a balance. But you know, worst case scenario, show it to me, show it to Aaron, or bring it up and we can easily, you know, work on it so it does highlight the greatest aspects of it. And there are smaller homes where they've done amazing things to the inside.
Yeah.
Like I video toured a mobile home, a manufactured home.
Yeah. They're sorry. Like it has me questioning like,
Yeah, like
we live here.
yeah, no, they've done amazing things with the outside. They have, you know, all these cute fences, and then you walk inside and it's completely open.
Yeah.
Like those double wides, like sometimes.
Yes. Those are.
Those are 1,500, 1,600 square feet.
Yeah.
And they have put in new flooring and all that stuff, and it's under 200,000. So, and then they have a nice yard. I do tend to not put on my social media when it's a land lease.
Okay.
And a land lease, and just in case people don't know for manufactured homes, that a manufactured home can sit on your own land, a land that you're purchasing, or it could be leased land. When it comes to manufactured homes, if you don't own the land beneath it, it's pretty much depreciating.
Yeah.
Because a mobile home will depreciate like a car. Like as soon as you drive it off the lot, it starts to depreciate to a point. And if you don't own the land and you're paying $800-900 a month in land lease
On top of.
on top of your mortgage,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're really not gaining equity.
Right.
So if that happens, go in with eyes wide open that we are explaining that. It might still be an affordable home, but it's almost like renting. Because really, they're not getting a huge amount of equity. In 10 years, that manufactured home is not going to be at the same price that a normal home would be. And there's no land beneath it. So again, just keep in context and make sure that if you're putting it on social media, you're being very clear with what is being bought and sold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Video tours build a lot of trust if you do them correctly. You have to know the property. Again, you may feel like you can just show up and not have all your homework done, but I would not start videoing if you don't know the layout of the house and you don't know what questions you should be addressing either in the live video tour or the one that you're doing without the client. Now, it's important because clients ask the same questions. They will ask the square footage. They will ask how many bedrooms. Even if they know, you should be narrating that with confidence. You still need to do your homework. That is your job as an agent. And you want to make sure that you know the recent upgrades, that you know how many days are on the market. Because if you've been on any showings, they're going to ask that. When was it last updated? Is there negotiation in it? And even if they're not there live, if you narrate well, that's getting you ahead of the game. And you want a polished video. I've seen videos where they didn't know the house, and as they're videoing, I see them trip over a step. And then send it out. So you obviously don't know there's a step there. And you actually see someone practically fall. That doesn't come off as professional. And you've got to start over. Walk the property and understand that there are also boring things that you may not want to film. You film a staircase or you film, okay, here's the stairway going up the stairs. You do not need to film yourself walking up every stair. That is pretty boring. And you have to respect also the buyer's time. And the camera also just goes bump, 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 and they're just hearing you make footsteps. So you want this almost like a craft and respect the time that the actual video is. So attention to detail. You want to point out finishes. Like you'll notice, like they won't be able to see whether it's a granite or a quartz top. Those are kind of key things. It could look just like one of those laminate tops from Home Depot. So you may want to just clarify, this is a granite countertop. This is quartz. This is beautiful. Something can look like something from Lowe's, like a cabinet could look like a pre-built cabinet from Lowe's or Home Depot. That's very different than a custom cabinet or something like that. Or they redid the faucet. It might be very unclear in a video, those little details that can make a huge difference. And then local expertise. Your commentary should be about the neighborhood, the schools. You should know the commute. And what I really like to know is if they're sensitive to noise. There's a lot of people that are sensitive to how much noise if they're up against a street, if they're under the airport, or something like that. So I've had people say they have pets, they have children. If there's too much noise, it's going to affect their lifestyle. So ask that question. Make sure that you're kind of listening and watching, so you know how to narrate that as well. Now, some people don't care, but I've also had people love a home, show up, they're ready to make an offer, and it's too loud. So make sure you're pointing out the neighborhood. If they have children, you may want to go video the school area. I have gone and videotaped the nearby park because, it's right around the corner and they have pets. So those are all things that make you look that you care deeply about what they want. Now, why these speed up decisions? People will put their furniture when they're looking at a home. They'll say, does this fit here? Does this fit there? Does the floor plan work for their lifestyle? Is it open concept? Is it traditional? So if you're actually gathering that layout and you understand the motivation of the client, you can actually say, oh, this is extremely open. There's no walls here. It flows, that open concept. You want to be able to see the living area and, be able to see your children. And it gives them a really nice feel of what they would feel like in the home in person. It also allows you to actually check the condition of the home. How many times have we seen homes in pictures that have been photoshopped, or it has the big sunset behind it and just looks gorgeous? But we can actually overall see the condition up front and personal. And with those visible updates, we'll be able to actually gather areas that may need attention. And so no one's going in with blinders. And then the buyers also can say, is it worth the trip? Okay, I just don't like that neighborhood. I thought not being on a cul-de-sac would be fine, but now that I look at everything, I want a cul-de-sac. So this is going to narrow the options quickly. You're going to move much faster towards offers. And you're going to look like the professional that just wants to go above and beyond. It is a measurable advantage for you to offer that as something that you will give. So if they don't have time on a Sunday because they have soccer games for their children, no problem. Let me get ahead of it. I will go video tour this, and then we can see where things are at, and then you can take time off work, or we can fit it in between soccer games or something like that if you really like it. So how do we do video tours? You do not have to be a professional videographer to do a video tour. But you do want to understand that with just a few like tweaks, a few steps, a few understanding, that you can do it with confidence.
Yeah.
Most of our, phones can do great videos. You don't have to buy a special camera. You don't have to do things really expensive. There is always a good way of doing it. I mean, I don't know about your phone, but my phone takes amazing videos. And you can use apps that can make them sharper, that can help you with stabilization and those type of things. So don't think that to do this, you have to go out there and spend a lot of money. But let's go back to logistics. We need to make sure that we know the lockbox, we know the access code. If there's an alarm, there's nothing worse than going into a house and having that alarm go off. If they're live, then it just makes us look, once again, foolish. We need to know if there's gate codes or community access. We need to know if there's showing instructions. There may be restrictions where a listing agent says, you cannot put this video online. We need to be aware of that. And you can find that on the MLS. There's actually a spot where it says videos allowed. Now, 99.9% of the time, it's going to say yes, but make sure you understand those restrictions. Some people really care about privacy and they do not want their home publicly shown. You need property knowledge, the current price, the price history, HOAs, the fees. Does it have solar panels? Is the solar panels leased? The builder name. If this is a new build, there are floor plan names. Those are all things that you should be narrating. You need to know upgrades or renovations. Now, do you need to know the date of the renovation? No, probably not. But it would be nice to say within the last 2-3 years, everything in the house has been renovated, or they added a pool a year ago. Now, remember, some of these videos are going to be live. So they may want to see you walk up to the house. And if you fumble with lockbox or you don't know the alarm code, it can derail the entire tour. Now, with video tours where it's not live, obviously you have a little bit more control, but you should still know the property. Okay, so equipment. First, you're gonna need a phone camera. I mean, that's gonna be the best way without having to have any type of special equipment. Now, we all have phones. So we should be able to shoot it the way we want in a high resolution. And most phones supports the best results. You just need to know how to use them. Now, if you're really great with your phone and you're able to hold it steady and all that, that's wonderful. I use a gimbal. I bought one on Amazon. So it is really beautiful. It actually holds your phone. It actually has a button to start recording. It makes it very simple. If you want to use that, absolutely come and ask me about it. But there are very inexpensive ones you can find on Amazon or online itself. It doesn't have to be fancy, and I'll be happy to loan mine out for anybody that wants it. It makes it very smooth. It takes out the bumpiness. It allows you to pan. So again, before you actually invest, I would rather you use one and see if it works for you, or if you just prefer to hold your phone. Now, lighting. You want, before you start the video, whether you're doing it live or not, make sure that you're turning on every light in the house, just like you would do when you're doing in person. You open the blinds, you open the curtains. You want natural light combined with any overhead lighting. It creates the most inviting space. It's a representation of the space that feels real. Audio. So we want to speak clearly and project your voice. Try to avoid filming in windy conditions. If it's live, I mean, even if it's not live, try to do it so it's not like really, really windy outside. They can't hear you. You can always narrate and say it's a very windy day, so it's going to be hard for you to hear me. So I'm going to just do the neighborhood and I'm going to take you inside. So when you're live, obviously they're going to know it's live, but try to minimize background noise. Your narration is just as important as the visuals. There's also small microphones that you can buy, where you can kind of clip them onto your shirt. You can find them on Amazon as well or online. They're very inexpensive. But really, your phone does an amazing job without any of that type of equipment. But if you're doing this a lot, I would say definitely invest in a couple of things that make it easier for you. But again, we have stuff here at the agency. Don't overdo it. Don't buy things if this is not going to be something you do all the time. But I mean, since I've started in real estate and it's been less than a year, I have done probably 10 video tours. So it is an up and coming thing. And I would encourage that you to get familiar with them. You can even show up early to a property when you're doing in person and do a video tour, just to show that, okay, I'm good at this, I know my limitations. And later, if that in-person tour goes well, you can always say, wonderful, I actually took a video of it. And you can actually give it to them after the fact. It's not going to, be harmful, obviously, and it'll get you used to doing this. And it's just happening more and more. People are busy, and there's just a lot of people that want to move, and they're busy. You have to respect their time, but also it's a way to respect your own as well. So just real quick, again, there's just simple gear. Like I said, gimbal, which is a stabilizer. It keeps your video buttery and smooth walking through the home. It eliminates shaky footage instantly. A clip-on microphone, it does improve the audio clarity. It's closer to your face. But again, phones are really amazing nowadays, and they usually always talk about their video and picture quality. And normally, wide angle will also be available on your phone. But if you're doing these a lot, I mean, each tool is inexpensive, often under $50, and it will immediately elevate the profession of doing these video tours. And if you are doing this a lot, come borrow these things. Borrow them first before actually investing in anything. I'd rather you do that. And then if it is becoming really a common thing for you, then you can start investing that on your own. Yeah. Now, here's the structure of doing a live or in-person video. You want to do the exterior. Let's start where you would when you're actually doing it in person. Start at the curb, show the street, show the landscaping. You want to show the overall curb appeal. Entry level living areas. Walk through the front door, capture the entryway, capture the door, capture the living room, and your first impression of the home's layout. Then in the kitchen, you want to highlight the appliances, the counter space, storage. how the kitchen connects to adjacent living areas. Then as you move into the bedrooms could be empty. So you're really just filming a square, a box, over and over again. There's a ton of bedrooms, but you could actually go down the hallway, show the first bedroom to the right, and then move with the camera and go to the next bedroom so they feel the flow of the home. Bathrooms showcase the finishes, the fixtures, and any recent updates. Don't skip secondary bathrooms, half baths. Don't skip those because those are actually come into play a lot. Some people say they want 2 full baths and a half bath. So don't forget that even a small thing like that could be important. And then think also about those bonus spaces, dens, or just spaces that may not even have a door to them, but they're like a tiny little breakfast nook or a separate dining room. Don't forget, you want to highlight all the key areas. Then as you move through the house, you want to go to the backyards, the amenities. Show the outdoor space. Is there a patio, the pool, into the garage, or any additional features that add value? And then you want to do a final summary. Wrap up with a brief recap of highlights and your overall impression of the home. This structure helps buyer understand the layout. It positions you as organized, professional, and that you went above and beyond as their guide through that home. What to say during the tour? We don't want to say this is the kitchen. Stating the obvious adds nothing to the experience. The buyer can see it's a kitchen. What's stronger is the kitchen opens into the living room space, which makes it great for entertaining. Keeping an eye on the kids. Now the buyer's imagining their life in the space. Buyers purchase lifestyle. They like function. They like to know the square footage, but they want to see where their life will be in that home. Every room in your tour is an opportunity to tell the story of how that home fits their lifestyle. Like I said, I've actually gone and videotaped a nearby park. If the person is into exercise or hiking, you may want to go down the road. This is about 0.5 miles from your house. It's a beautiful area to bike ride. It's a beautiful area to take the kids. When I bought my house, they actually filmed, because I moved out from out of state, they filmed at the wetlands. A big bike rider, they actually went down there and said, this is where it opens, this is how far it goes, it ends at a park. And actually it was a huge deal because I bike ride every day. So consider who they are and what their motivation and lifestyle are, because you can go and figure out and tell them, this is around the corner. Here's a beautiful area. This would be great for picnics. There's a playground for their children, and show that this is all going to fit into their lifestyle. And then we want to point out what the buyers may not pick up on camera. Natural lighting, how the lighting comes into the space. It gets different at the time of day. And the camera can flatten that experience. So depending on the time of day, you may want to say here in the afternoon, it really comes in really nice into this room and shows these beautiful lighting. The ceiling height, mention vaulted or standard ceilings. Height creates a sense of openness, and it's really hard to capture that on video. Storage space, open closets, pantries, cabinets show the depth, the organization potential. I see a lot of people just skip over the pantries, and I'm not sure about anybody else, but I love my pantry. And if you have a lot of kids, it's a big deal to be able to store snacks and those type of things. So don't skip out on those things.
Yeah, I feel like in the house, everyone's always like, oh, there's so much space in the pantry kitchen.
Yeah. So yeah, open the door. I know some also like in a garage, people can put up like the hanging
Yeah,
door
here
here.
is like with the garages.
Yeah. So remember who we were actually talking to, because and I know Raquel has experienced this with one of my clients. The woman is following the house completely. They care about the space in the house. The guy immediately goes to the air conditioner and the furnace and the garage. Like that's all they care about. So depending on the couple or the family, I mean, the kids might go, oh my God, this backyard is gonna fit my playhouse. So it's really good for you actually to highlight that. And, when you're cooking I'm sorry, my pantry was one of the best things in that house when I saw it. It may seem small, but it's really nice when you have that extra space. And then flooring conditions. Note whether it's hardwood or tile or beautiful baseboards or like little key characteristics. Like you'll see in like homes that are built in the 80s, and they're on the baseboard, they'll have these little square things at the top of each room. That's like this intricate little square to bring the baseboards together. And it's really interesting. So actually note those type of things. And there's no harm in saying, well, this visibly is a little worn, or that we could talk about maybe this needs to be replaced. There's no harm in that. You are the guide. Window views. If you only are looking at the room from a distance and you're not getting up and close to a window where they could see the mountains or something like that, you may want to open up the blinds and say, look at this amazing view. And then also noise levels. Comment on street noise. This backs up to a major street, but it's definitely not noisy. Neighborhood activity. I had one person go, they were very excited that they saw people playing outside, that kids were riding down the street and felt safe. So it's really nice to add those little bit of key observations. It builds that credibility and trust. When you show buyers you're paying attention and that you notice who they are as people and that you're just not filming, that you're giving them an experience. Now, running a video live tours. Now, this can be a little bit more frustrating at times because you can't structure it exactly the way you want, but you'll be able to react by engaging the client, seeing their body language, and also be interactive. Like, okay, maybe I need to show this beautiful part of the kitchen. I'm going to pan back and make sure you see this. So it's really nice in that way that you can actually talk to them right there. But you want to set the stage, be confident, introduce it, say, I'm standing at the front entrance. I'm going to walk you through the home exactly as if you were here. Feel free to ask questions or ask me to slow down. And then also I encourage you to record it anyway, because it's a really nice thing at the end of a tour to say, you know what, here's the video as well. And that will save them time and you time in the bigger picture. And then guide them through the home. Use the structured flow that you've already practiced. Move at a natural pace, not too fast, not too slow, and narrate continuously. So the buyer knows that you are actually there and that you just didn't videotape something and then are showing them after the fact and then just not actually being in the home. We want to actually give them the experience that they want. And then engage with live, okay? The video tour should not be a one-way broadcast. These are conversations. Pause periodically, invite feedback. If you go too fast, they may not feel like they can ask questions. We want them to emotionally connect to the property. You can always say, what do you think about this layout? Can you see your family here? How would you use this space? Would you like another look at the backyard? Or do you want to move inside? Would you like to see the garage? Is this a priority for you? These are all really beautiful ways for you to engage your clients. If you don't structure it and you don't ask those questions, they may not open up. They may not tell you what the do's and don'ts are or the things they just can't connect with. And perhaps you could have fixed that if you were really actively participating in those tours. Let them share their reactions with you. Let them share requests. They're mentally moving in. This gives them emotional investment. And that's what drives decisions and offers. Now, what happens after the tour? This is where their interest becomes action. So you finished up, you're moving into the park. Does the buyer like it? So when it's live, you can ask some questions. Would you knock down this wall? Where would you put your office? Can you imagine living here? And then be prepared. HOA, utility questions. Almost always will someone say, is there an HOA and how much does it cost? If you don't know and you're live, it doesn't show that you're genuinely interested in what they would be interested. And then request, do you want to take a second look? Do you want to look into the primary bedroom? So make sure you're mentally helping them and with their needs. If they ask about nearby homes, feel free to go there. Commute times. You may want to say, actually, I drove this and it's at 20 minutes from there to where you're going to be working. Or it's 5 minutes to the bus stop for your kids. It gets them invested in the process. And when you hear that in the live video tour, it's going to be just like when you're in person. You're going to be able to hear when they're actually genuinely interested because they will ask you to go. They'll ask you to pivot back to a room. They'll ask you more questions. They may even say, you know, later, can we do another video tour? But the next step is scheduling it in person. We don't want a deal to fall apart because the video was incredible. And then once we go into due diligence for that purchase agreement, they say, well, I never saw it in person. We want them to be able to experience it firsthand. Investors are a little bit different, but again, they're buying it not to live in it. So it's a little bit different, but we can always go into those details when you have that type of buyer. And then you always want to follow up. When you send a video or when you do a live video, it's almost easier to forget because they weren't physically there. So we need to make sure that we are being ahead of them. We're doing the follow-up and saying, which one of these fits you? Which one would you like to see again? Are all of these a no? What didn't you like? You need to make sure you keep the pace. Otherwise, they may think, well, I'll go back and look at the video. And then you're just delaying the possibility of an offer. So even if you have to resend the video or something like that, make sure you're keeping that confidence and that pace to move forward. After the filming, send the video right away. If you wait a day, if you wait a week, please God, don't do that. But make sure I would say send it within 24 hours. We want them to remember how they felt. We want them to understand that we are professionals and that we took the time and caring that we will send it to them right away. A buyer often watches videos numerous times. They share it. Your tour becomes a marketing tool. So we want to make sure that they're still engaged when you send that video. And then go back, answer questions, make sure that you're going to the next step. Schedule in-person showings. Request additional homes. If that home wasn't the one, you understand them better. Send new options. They may want more videos. They may want to just go on in person. We want to make sure that we're keeping the buyer engaged and ready to act. Every outcome that keeps a conversation, that builds that relationship, keeps us moving forward. So have that 24-hour type of thing in mind. I usually like to send it the same day that I do the videos. But depending on how picky you are with your videos, you may want to do them a couple times or anything like that. I totally understand. But try to keep that 24 hours in mind. So here's some common mistakes. You're moving the camera too quickly. You're just going back and forth. They can't follow it. There's poor lighting. Dark rooms feel smaller. If you've seen even dark pictures of a room, you don't want to look at it. Not explaining the layout. Like I said, some people just put it to music. And now it just feels like they're watching a little movie and you're not explaining it. And then they don't get to actually enjoy it like they're there. Don't speak too quietly. You want to make sure that you project your voice. If your buyer can't hear you, your insights are wasted. So listen back to your video. Make sure that it's very clear what you're saying. Do not forget the exterior views. When people look at their homes, they want to be proud of the exterior. So never skip the front and back of the home. Do not ignore neighborhood context. Mention the street, nearby amenities, how the community feels. Look at this beautiful gate. Buyers aren't just buying a house, it's their life. Only describing the rooms is not as good as, look how great this would be for entertaining. Could you see yourself in this kitchen during the holidays? Poor audio quality. If there's wind, echo, if someone's playing noise in the background, it ruins the experience. So make sure that you really listen back and that you're clear, you're speaking well, and that you know that what you're saying is coming off correctly. Remember tone. If you have a really hard time hiding your tone, someone will think that you're disappointed. So make sure you go in with energy, not like, oh, kitchen. I'm like, this is not something I was lived with. That's not something to narrate. And then forgetting to send the video promptly. If you delay it, it kills momentum. And then not asking for the next step. Always close with follow-up questions. Otherwise, the work that you put in, even if it saved you time initially, it's going to be a waste. Avoid these mistakes and you're going to give a great first impression. So here's the perfect 90-second video tour script. An opening. This is Trina Tudor with Alessi. I'm at address. I'm going to walk you through the home. This home sits on a quiet street with great curb appeal. Notice the mature landscaping or the desert landscaping, I love to say, and give this welcoming front entry. The living space flows directly into the kitchen, which makes it great for entertaining and everyday family life. Look at these updated countertops, plenty of prep space. You'll notice the island provides great additional storage. The primary suite is separated from the other bedroom, which provides additional privacy, a big plus for big families. And then I'll send you this video right after so you can review it again. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your feedback. See, that's 90 seconds. And if you have a nice, beautiful cadence, again, you can make this way longer and you can give them different aspects of it. Here's my 30-second view. Here's 60 or 90 seconds. And then here's my 6-minute overall view for when you're watching it again. And then practice your script. Make sure it feels natural and not like you're a robot. That's why it's going back to knowing the home, and the details makes the way you frame it extremely unique. So I really hope this has been helpful for all of you guys. And I think that video tours are going to become more and more important. If you have more questions or you want to borrow the gimbal I talked about or a microphone, let me know. And if I have any upcoming ones, I'll be happy to invite you. I've already had a couple agents come with me to a couple video tours. And if you have one that you want me to accompany you with, I'm happy to do so. So feel free to reach out. And if at any time you have questions, I'm here to help. At this point, does anybody have any questions?
No questions here. Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. All right, thank you for joining, guys. I will see you again tomorrow.
All right, see you tomorrow. Have a good day.
You too.